People have been asking me, hey Chisgule, is a 5-5-1-2 Minamoto actually viable in the end game? And so I went and I did some testing, baby, because the new double relic on Minamoto is actually insane. And yes, this 60% of stats makes a 5-5-1-2. That's a $45 investment in Minamoto. Super viable in the end game. So stick around in this video for the test results to see what I'm talking about. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and I spent an hour last night testing with my alliance in 2293 to see exactly how good a 5-5-1-2 Unexpertised Minamoto was going to be in the end game, because the 60% of stats you get over here are actually insane. And you really notice the insane amount of attack and defense on Minamoto, strangely boosting, even to a very large amount, the normal attack and counterattack damage that he's doing, which is just really nutty. So in this video, I'm going to go over these test results with you. We'll go over the test methodology very briefly as well. And if you want the answer up front at the start, do me a huge favor. Throw a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel. I've made over 2,000 videos dedicated to making you a better player in Rise of Kingdoms. But the short answer is that yes, Minamoto is viable. Is he meta at 5-5-1-2? No, of course not. But is he still really good? Yes. And is he good enough that you could use him until you get something better? Absolutely. And in the long run, he'll still be your Barb Fort rally. So what are we talking about here? Why are we talking about this 5-5-1-2 Minamoto? Well, you can only get Minamoto from VIP, which starts to add up. But to get to this configuration, as you see on screen, on my restart account, this will run you about $45, which is a lot cheaper than the 200 total bucks you need to actually take him to expertise. So what are we missing? Well, if you take him to this configuration, you're missing some damage to barbs. That's not going to matter for the open field at all. And the final skill is actually half as good as it is the full strength version. So this is a shockingly good skill with only 2 points in it, is what I'm trying to say. It makes it so that the target takes 15% more damage for the next 3 seconds. Now, look, this debuff is a big part of what makes Minamoto so attractive in the end game, but the fact that you still get a half strength debuff is pretty damn good, and you also miss out on a small amount of damage factor. Now, in my last video where I talked about the math around how Minamoto does an average of 2,300 damage factor when expertised. People ask questions about that math, so I'm going to break it down just a little bit more than I did in that video, okay? But he's got, when you're not expertised, a base damage factor of 1,400, and you have a 50% chance of dealing extra damage factor, 600 damage factor per second for 2 seconds. So if we try to bring that to a single number, we take the damage over time, 600 damage, times 2 seconds, that's 1,200 damage factor. And we know that it only happens half of the time. So we're going to cut that back in half again, which brings us back down to 600 damage factor. We add that into the base of 1,400. You're looking at 2,000 damage factor on average from the active skill. Now, the expertise gives only slightly more, 2,300 damage factor. Now, this is really interesting because the expertise on Minamoto actually does less than most expertise skills will do. Even the expertise on Julius Caesar, by the way, gives you 400 more damage factor when you use your active skill. So it is weird that Minamoto is giving such a small boost. But the thing I do like about this skill is that there's randomness involved. And I actually think this kind of randomness is good randomness. When combat is sometimes swingy in favorable or unfavorable ways, this is good randomness. Whereas I would make the argument that like randomness on equipment and randomness on armaments is not, in my estimation, the good kind of randomness. I think combat randomness can be fun, and this kind of combat randomness especially, I think is totally fine. So all that to say, 300 more damage factor is what you're missing on the expertise. So you still have single target damage of 2,000 at 5-5-1-2. Man, this is really good. Really good. So Minamoto is strong. even at 5512. And to test this, what we did is we went into an Ark of Osiris practice match and we used Nevsky Minamoto. I did. And my opponents used a variety of combinations. And in order to test fairly, normally I like to use equipment, but we didn't really have a set of equipment that was like really equivalent across all the different people and all the different combos we were going to be testing with. So in this testing, we tested without equipment and we switched to the line formation in order to basically not have to rearrange all our armaments, but also to make sure we didn't have any armaments throwing off the results. So keep in mind, that's why we're in line formation, and there's no equipment involved. There's no city themes involved, but there is one important distinction that we need to talk about before I show you these results, which is that I am VIP 16, and the people I was battling against are VIP 18. So they reduced the number of troops that they could bring to match the number of troops I was bringing, unless they used a commander that had extra troop capacity, and then they would honor that troop capacity, but they would not take the extra troops associated with VIP. And also keep in mind that when I win, and there will be a lot of winning that I do in these test results, I'm winning at a 5% all damage disadvantage because they have VIP 18, so they get the 5% all damage from VIP 17, and I don't even have that, okay? So that means these results will look weaker than how they would actually perform against an opponent who, you know, didn't have an all damage advantage against you. So this is really hype. So let's go to the results now. We make our way to the favorites, and I don't win everything, by the way, but I did enough winning that I was like, yeah, no, you could use a 5512 Minamoto until you have something better. So first up, we started with archers. And the reason we wanted to start with using archers is because I wanted to see if we could beat them. If we can't beat these archers, it's kind of GG. Like, cavalry counters archers, and we have all single target damage on our march. If we can't win versus a Boudica E-Song, then we should just pack it up and go home. And, you know, good news. The 5512 Minamoto gets the W. 23,000 to 28,000, almost 29,000 sevs there. We did it again, and this time I lost, but about even on the trade. Almost exactly even on the trade. And then we did it again, and I won. 21,800 just about to 28,900. A nice-sized win against the archers. Now, this is kind of what you would expect. So, yes, we're going to test many more combos, so let's go and do that. Up next is Guan and Scipio. And the first time I lost, 24,000 sevs for me, 22,000 sevs for them. But the second time I won, 23,400 to 25,000. And the next time I won, 23,000 to 25,000. This is why I always show you test results, typically in threes at a minimum. Because, yes, I wanted to test a diversity of things, but I also would get the wrong conclusion if I had only tested one time. This is also why we tested an Ark of Osiris practice match, because the repair cost would just be really high if you try to do this anywhere else. So from here, we wanted to test against Nevsky Joan, right? Like, bring out the big guns, baby. The end game, clap cheeks, frickin'. This is your best cav combo, and it's still the best cav combo. Nevsky Joan absolutely decimated the Nevsky Minamoto at 5512. 26,000 to 19,500 in favor of the Nevsky Joan. It did that again, 26,700 to 17,000, and it did that again, 26,000 to 18,000. So this is not at all surprising. And I'll remind you that he has a 5% all damage advantage over me, which makes a big difference. And also, like, dude, it's a double expertise combo. Like, you got to keep in mind, for being 5512, that ain't bad, bro. From here, we wanted to test against a Skippy Honda Tadakatsu. And I love Honda, man. Honda's great in the field. And Honda is kind of a better Mehmed, is the way I think about it. And it did perform really well. 27,300 to 19,700, then 25,800 to 22,000. This was a closer result, but still doesn't quite get there for the Nevsky Minamoto, and then 27,800 to 18,700. Look, the thing about an Expertise Honda Tadakatsu is that he's just mitigating too much damage in this dueling context, making it so you take less damage from normal attacks for the first 57 hits. Just was so swingy. Plus, you do get a small amount of extra troops. It just made the difference here. And so the Nevsky Mina was not beating Skippy with Honda. Now look, you take the best open field commander in the game and pair with one of the other, top, I don't know what we call them, maybe top 10, top 15 open field commanders in the game. And yeah, of course, Honda's doing really well. I mean, Skippy Honda won. And that's how that should be. We did Nevsky and Minamoto, but now we brought it against a true end game double expertise. You probably can't do better in a dual combo, and that is Sargon with Skippy. And Sargon with Skippy obviously claps cheeks. So 27,000 to 17,500, and then again 28,500 to 14,000, and then again 28,000 to 15,000. And look, you may be thinking, Chisgule, wait, I thought you were hyped about the Nevsky Mina. I am. This result is obviously not amazing, but I'm not sure what you expected battling into the counter troop type, bringing a non-expertise commander against really killer single target damage from Sargon, right? So this is, I think, an expected result for this situation. From here, we have Nevsky Minamoto battling against Tariq Ibn Ziyad and Sargon the Great. This is more crazy single target damage. Tariq Ibn Ziyad has been compared to CJ, and CJ is really good single target damage as well. They're very similar. So of course the Tariq Ibn Ziyad with Sargon is just going to do extremely well. 31,000 to 21,000, 34,000 to 19,000, and 30,500 to 22,000. But the reason, by the way, we also did some Guan Alex testing because I thought that would be kind of cool. And I forgot about this. This is really important to show. Nevsky Mina at 5512 clapped Guan with Alex, okay? 16,000 to 27,000 is a huge GG. And then over here, 18,800 to 27,000, a huge win again for the Nevsky Minamoto. Even though this is infantry, the thing about Guan Yu and Alex is that Guan really is trying to do AoE damage, and Alex is really beneficial when you are buffing another march and also debuffing 3 enemy marches, not just the one you're dueling. So yeah, no, Guan with Alex got kind of shredded, even though I was accidentally getting hit by a tower off to the side a little bit here, which is kind of funny. So do I think that a 5-5-1-2 Minamoto is viable? I mean, look, I would say yes, it is viable until you have a better option. And so if you are just getting to Season of Conquest and you're like, bro, I'm trying to fill out some marches, like the detailed guide I gave you the other day showing the exact order you could go in, I think you could definitely use a Minamoto at 5-5-1-2, as I did here, until you have something better. That something better would either be expertising your damn Minamoto or going and just using something like Joan. And then Nevsky Joan, as you saw, is a better combo, which you would expect because, expertise Joan is insane. And she's actually one of the top 4 slam dunk open field commanders in the game. You shouldn't expect your Minamoto at 5-5-1-2 to just be an absolute dominator in the field. But until you have something better, like, as I was saying, a Joan to use or a William to use, it's going to be really, really great. And I think Minamoto is shockingly viable, with the biggest downside being that there's no upgrade path unless you're going to spend money. That's the big downside compared to using some other 5-5-1-1 commander, because even a commander, by the way, like Joan, will clap cheeks without being expertised at 5-1-1-5. She also is insane. And so in some ways, it will be cool to do even more testing and compare how is a 5-1-1-5, Joan going to stack up to the Minamoto. And the thing I will also mention is that these relics are not exactly cheap either. You're not just going to flood your account with relics once you get to Season of Conquest. So you're going to have to make some choices. So while I think the 5-5-1-2 Minamoto is super viable, and if you had the relics just throw on him, you could start using him, and I think he would be fine in the open field. Just keep in mind that this currency is limited and that we are at some point expecting more commanders down the road to show up here. All of the pre-Season of Conquest commanders, such as Tommy and Constantine and Saladin and Alexander the Great, should be showing up in here pretty soon too. So there's going to be a lot of commanders that you might be tempted to drop relics on. So although I would say, yeah, 5-5-1-2 Mina is viable. I mean, you saw with a 5% all damage advantage, we were still beating, the Boudica Esong and the Guan Alex and even could beat occasionally the Guan Skippy, which is just an amazing combo. Yeah, I mean, it's viable, but also use your currency wisely. Keep in mind that we have new stuff coming into the game soon. But on the flip side, when you invest in your Minamoto, I mean, you can use them for barb forts even after you're done with him in the field. If you want to see a more detailed video about using an expertised Minamoto, including some test results, I'll have a card in the end screen for the maxed Minamoto video. Also, I'll have a card in the end screen. The title's going to look a little bit different, but that video will be a live stream where we tested the Minamoto, fully expertised, double relict, where we had the aha moment of realizing, oh my god, Mina's freaking back, baby, with a freaking vengeance.